Guys, Outer Zone RC here. It's been about probably 3 months since my last upload. I've just been racing a lot. Got focused on that. You know, I built the track out back, and out in Daytona, Florida, they started doing some kind of grassroots racing out there, and just been out there doing that and tuning the truck. And actually got an X-ray buggy, e-buggy that I've been racing, but I've done the majority of the racing with this because probably 9 out of 10 of the guys out there have slashes, so that makes it kind of fun. One guy has a Techno out there. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but just wanted to give kind of my secrets out. A lot of people don't want to do that, but to me it's not fun racing if you're just whooping everybody. So first time I went out there, it was just, you know, I had my truck set up so well for my track in the backyard that I was just lapping people. So I just tried to make sure that, you know, everyone who was out there kind of knew what I was running and why the truck was so fast out there. And everybody's coming around now. It's becoming pretty competitive because it was a bunch of on-road guys learning how to do the off-road stuff, and they're all getting real fast now, so it's getting fun out there. But I'll kind of go over my truck here. I've been building this over the last 5 years, so some of the stuff on here is definitely not needed. Some of it was stuff that I did just to kind of bling out the truck and make it look cool before I really got into racing. But I'll kind of talk about, you know, the things that are needed and the things that aren't needed. So we'll start off first. If you're gonna race, the first thing you want to do for your Slash is get a low center of gravity body, or buy an ultimate right off the bat. You know, if you're really focused on racing, you want to go Techno. You don't want to, you know, go with the Slash. You'll be faster with the Techno. But if you've already got a Slash or you've got an ultimate, and a lot of people that you're racing with have them, I'm gonna give you the best setup that I found. But I've just been setting this truck up, and every week I get a little faster and a little bit more consistent, and this is my findings. So get the low center of gravity body. The next thing you want to do is you want to get a center differential. That's going to make all the difference in the world when racing, because these trucks like to be a little bit more oversteery. So when you're coming on throttle out of turns, your back end's gonna kick out on you and you're gonna lose confidence. So the diff is gonna send more power forward if you have the right diff fluid in it. If you got too heavy a diff fluid in it, it's gonna feel just like a clutch, and it's gonna be more rear wheel drive. So the first thing I do is I put 50 weight in here. I've tried 50 and I've tried 30. 30 weight put too much forward on my truck. It was too front wheel drive, and my rear wheels weren't even spinning really, and they were getting all caked up, and they're pretty caked up right now, but they were getting too caked up because they weren't slinging the clay out of it. So I found the best setup. I'm running on a really loose track. Like, it's either way too muddy and loose, or it's just too dry and loomy and loose. So this is for like outdoor loose tracks, this setup. This is not going to be the indoor setup. There's a couple of things with the diff fluids you could change for the indoor setup, but everything else should be pretty similar. Tires and diffs would probably get changed if you were going to run on a well prepped hard surface. But for outdoors, I'm running 30k in the front, which is stock, 10k in the rear, which is stock, and then I'm running 50k in the center diff, and that's making it like a 60% front wheel drive, 40% rear wheel drive, and it feels a lot like an all-wheel drive car. Essentially, like, it doesn't feel like a 4x4 truck, but it feels more like a Subaru or something out there. So that's what you want to do for diff fluids. The next thing that I'd say is these GTR shocks go a long way out there. What I'm running right now is I'm running the blue springs in the rear. These are the heaviest ones Traxxas makes, and you can see they're pretty. I mean, I'm pushing pretty hard on this, and I got the car pretty low. I'm gonna higher it a little bit because we got a big jump out there, but essentially what you do is you want to set, if you look at the rear here, you want to set everything pretty even when it rebounds back up. You want these even, you want everything kind of straight across the board here, and that's the best handling I found. So I've got the blues in the rear, and I've got 50 weight shock oil. I've got the pinks up front, which are the second stiffest, because I want some front grip up here, but I also want it kind of soft. And I'm still running 50 weight, and it seems to do just fine in the front too. I'm running the Team Factory Racing shock oil, 50 weight, in both of these. Now this track is so loose and loomy that I'm thinking about going to the pink shocks in the rear so I can raise it up a little bit. One thing that I've learned is when you raise these GTRs up, it actually increases the spring rate and it makes the car a bit stiffer. So the lower you go, the softer the suspension's gonna get. So wherever you're losing grip, you want to soften your suspension. So on the rear, I want the car a little taller now because I'm going to be we're going to be jumping some bigger jumps. So now I have to make the car taller, but I also have to still make it to where the suspension is loose and soft so I can gain grip around these real loomy turns and stuff like that. So I'm probably going to go to pink in the rear and jack it up a bit because I am really low right now. I'm going to go to pink in the rear, leave my pinks up front, and I'm going to raise the car up about a 1/4 inch. I think that's going to do what I want. This is an Ultimate, so it came with the sway bars. I am running the stock sway bars. I'm running them all the way out on the adjustment here, so they're pretty loose, but they're on there. I've never tried it with it off. Some people say that they work good with it off. I'm just very used to this truck right now, set up how it is. And again, I'm just telling you the things that I think, you know, are key. I've got a lot of metal and aluminum parts on here, you can see, but those things, I don't think you need all of them. The next thing, if you're on a loose, loomy track that's outdoors and it's either loose because it's like muddy and wet all the time, or loose because it's just got like a silt on top of it, like a loose just dust on the top. These tires seem to be doing great for me. I've even beat a couple guys running buggy tires out there with these tires on, and these are legal, so because they are short course tires in the way that we race. So one thing I did learn is that, because my back end is just always trying to slide out there, I actually bought a fresh set of these that I throw on just for when I race. And what that does is, you can't see it on these ones, but if you look real close here, all of my pins here are flat because they're worn out. That's not good, because you might not, you could look at this one, you can see there's a little tip on the top. Some of these have an extra little square, and that one you can see it's just a little bit there still. But when you buy these new, they're actually pretty tall, and they got like a whole nother tip on them. And I said, well, let me grab a set for the rear, because I never really have too much trouble with front grip. It's always my rear sliding around. I said, I'm gonna go ahead and throw on some brand new ones when I race. So I practice with these ones on here so I know how loose the car can be, and then when it's time to race, I throw on my fresh set, and I just race with them, and man, did it make a difference last week out at the track when I did that. So that's another little trick that I've learned that's made me a bit faster out there. So we got the suspension set up, we got the tires. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's going to really help with handling. What I'm running is, I'm running a lot of toe in the rear and a lot of camber, mainly because I want to run this body. I don't know that I need this much camber. It's working right now. This side has a lot I'm looking at. I don't know what happened, if something got knocked out of place or something, but I'm running a lot of camber back here because that's the only way it fits smoothly inside that body. This body here, if you're wondering, is a Heat Wave. It's a Proline Heat Wave body, but I didn't put the stickers on it because I knew it was going to be getting all nasty and muddy. I might throw them on there at some point. I have them, but it's kind of tight in the rear. And also, when you're jumping with this body, it tends to parachute quite a bit. So I don't know if it's the best race body with jumps. It's been really good. You know, we've been staying pretty low to the ground, but now that we're trying to jump, it's just kind of floating through the air. And I saw one of the guys that got one of these and built one up, he was having the same issue. So I might go back to my Fox body and start racing that again. I'm not sure. The next thing that I just kind of came up with as I was looking at this truck that, you know, I noticed to be a big difference. You'll see that I've got the old Slash A arms on here. These right here, these are the old school ones. And the reason why I'm running these over the HD ones or even the RPMs is not for durability, even though they do seem to be stronger for me than the new HDs, because I keep splitting the HDs right here. On the front, when I hit something, it's just splitting off because the plastic is so soft that it just splits. Or these, since I've put these on, I haven't really broken one, and I've hit all kinds of stuff. But the main reason I'm running these is if you grab your Slash back here and you go to twist like this, I mean, you can almost twist this 180 with those HDA arms that are on here. And these are almost like running metal ones, but they are gonna, you know, they're not gonna bend on you. Yeah, they're gonna snap, but the metal ones would bend on you, and then your car would be all tweaked out of shape and you might not even know it. So at least these are gonna snap when they, you know, hit their tolerance point. They're just gonna break. And again, I haven't had one of these breaks since I put them back on. I bought this truck 5-6 years ago, and these are what came with it. And my buddy actually bought a race truck that was all set up, and it was a Slash, and I was driving it, and I literally copied half of the stuff off of that truck onto this. And I noticed he had these A-arms, and the car just felt a lot more precise and stiff. So that was something that, you know, I went back to, and it was definitely a big improvement. Everything is real stiff now up front, how you want it. So let me see, is there anything else? You can kind of see where I put my shocks. We've got them one in back here, one in that way, right in the center in the rear. If you want more grip, you can go in, like make these more straight up and down. It's gonna make it softer. So that's a good little tip. Next thing, you got your Hobby Wing 4300 here, censored motor. This is getting harder and harder to find. This is an XR8 Pro SCT. I don't even think they're making it anymore. I might have got one of the last ones. This can handle up to 4S, and it's censored, so it's going to make really smooth throttle control. And you can go in and tune it. You get the app, you go in and you tune this thing. You just turn your punch down to like somewhere between 1 and 3 if you're having trouble with rotating through corners. Excuse me. I found running a low punch is going to give you a lot more stability down low when you're coming out of corners, and then it's going to come in pretty hard as you get the car moving. It's just going to come in nice and fast like a turbo. It's just going to kick in and you're going to be gone, but you're not going to have that instability down low if you get something censored or something where you can tune the ESC and you can turn the punch way down. That's going to be a great advantage. You can't do that with the VXL as far as I know. Yeah, I've never seen where I could change that. So I just went to this motor last year, and I think it's a game changer having that ability to be able to turn your punch down, because when you're racing and your heart's going and you're trying to be faster than the other guy, sometimes you just grab a handful of throttle and that thing's spinning in a circle and you are not winning at that point. So that's why we're racing. We're trying to get out there, and you know, it's fun, but I'm sure you're competitive like me and you want to do better. So if you want to be faster, you want to be able to grab that handful of throttle. As far as the diff that I'm running, I just wanted to bring this up. I'm running the real cheap one because it came with the car back in the day, and most short course racing is only 2S. So this plastic diff, it's about $39. You can find it. If you search it, you'll see it. It's just fully plastic, and it does just fine. You know, it does everything that you need it to do. Like I said, I'm running 50K in it. The only time you're gonna mess it up is if this bearing right here goes bad and you melt the diff bearing cup, and it's like $6 if you have to replace the cup. So another thing is it's going to be a lot lighter than a metal diff, so your whole gyro chain is a lot freer and it can just wind out when it wants to. So that's pretty neat to get on that. I've got things that I do think help with the handling of this car that, you know, you may not need. And one of them is these aluminum shock towers. These are just the Traxxas ones. They seem fine. Everything seems good about them, so no reason not to grab those. It does make everything real stiff in here, you know, like everything, nothing's going anywhere. You'll see I have aluminum here. That's one of those bling things that I did because I like the way it looks. I think that the stock metal ones are a lot stronger and probably better for racing because they're just going to hold up better if you hit something. I just like the blue at the time, so I went with that. And the same with these shock caps. They don't really, you don't need them on the GTRs, but they look great. And this was before I got into racing, and they're not hurting anything. And you know, metal is a bit stronger, so we'll leave them. They're getting kind of loose up in here though, I'm noticing, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to fix that problem because these are pressed in. I'm noticing they're moving a little bit, so not really sure what I'm going to do with that. If I have to buy new caps or I just put my stock ones back on. But other than that, I've got Techno M6 axles on because you don't want to break an axle when you're racing. And they're light and they're strong, and people run them up to 6S, so I don't see why they wouldn't be great race axles. Up front, you'll see I have the metal steering blocks. In the back, that looks blue, like I got the blue metal on here. That's not, I painted that. These are actually just the Techno. These come with this. When you get the Techno, you get the whole block and the bearing set, so I painted that blue to kind of match. Up front though, I still got the metal blocks. One thing you want to do with these metal blocks if you're using these is you want to get a longer pin. You want to find a longer pin. I don't know what the part number is, but you're just gonna have to order some. And sun just came out. You're gonna have to order some until you get a longer one, and you want it to go all the way through here and then cut it short, and that's going to help keep everything nice and stable up here, because they don't come all the way through when you get them, and it makes this kind of janky. Now to run the Techno M6 axles up here, what you're going to need to do is you're going to have to buy this inner piece right here that holds the bearing. I don't remember what it's called, if it's called a bearing holder or a cup or C cup or something like that. I think this is the C cup, but this part here, you need to get the XO1 version because when you buy these, they have a larger bearing, and to make these fit, you need the XO1 setup here. If you don't have these yet and you want to use metal up here for your steering, you can buy this whole XO1 piece by a company called GPM, or you could buy some that have been taken off of an XO1 on a part out, and you can usually save a little money going that way. So that's what I'm running up front for those. Keeps everything nice and stiff. These RPM here, I just got them because they're chrome and I wanted them chrome with that truck. Painted these chrome in here, stuff like that. Not really something you need. You're gonna see Velcro all around here. I do run a bag. I know that's a controversial thing. I run a bag because the track that we run on is so messy that this just fills up with clay in here. And if this gets all filled with clay, then all the tuning I did on my suspension is changed now because the weight is holding down my car. And, you know, I kind of tune the suspension for nothing. So I make sure I'm geared right for the track. I'm running a 12 tooth on here with a 54. And that's giving me plenty of speed on the straightaways, everything I need, and I'm staying, you know, around 160 degrees with my bag on. On a hot day out here in Florida when it's about 95, I have seen, you know, 175, 176 on the motor, but that's still fine. You know, the thermal cutoff for these is 220, so I think I'm doing all right. But that's about all I can see. Anything that's blue is just kind of bling after that. Like I do think a metal steering down here can help tighten some things up. This is one that I got from China because it was the perfect blue color when I was trying to make this all matchy, but I know STRC makes a decent one, and I'm running a ProTech T100 servo because it's cheap, it's fast enough for me, and it's about 50 bucks, and I believe it had a 1-year warranty on it, so I thought that was cool. So I know eventually I'll be moving over to a Techno, but this is 5 years of me tuning this and working on it, and you know, I've got a track in the backyard. You can go look at the other videos, and I'll try to put a link to one of the videos in the description of the track. But yeah, that's about it. You know, I've got these Proline body mounts up here where you can move your body up and down. That can be beneficial because if you're tuning the suspension and the car goes lower and you want the body up a little higher, you can tune that pretty easy. My sway bar popped off here, it looks like, because we've been doing some jumping. But other than that, you know, that's gonna be the best way I found to set up a Traxxas Slash for some outdoor racing, backyard racing, because I mean, the way the track that we're running is definitely like a grassroots backyard style deal, but that's why it's so fun. Nobody's too serious out there, but yeah, hopefully that's helpful to you. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. I'll do my best to get back to you. Sorry I haven't made any posts in a couple months. I'm gonna be, you know, putting some more stuff out now, and I just wanted to get this video out because a lot of research and development came into getting this thing how it is, and I feel it's as close to perfection as it's gonna be for a Slash at this point. Yeah, like and subscribe if this was helpful.